What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. So, I've been really busy, a lot of great things on the horizon, and that's really what it is. So, I'm a little bit delayed. I definitely watched the Showtime fights yesterday. Pretty good card. We had Deontay Wilder, which this video is about. We're going to talk about Deontay Wilder. I'll let you know my outlooks, what's next for him, and what I think about Deontay Wilder. So first of all, his performance, I mean, you can't take anything away from the guy. He was in there against a heavyweight who has experience. First things first, in the heavyweight division, really one punch, they always say this, but one punch definitely can change a fight in the heavyweight division. This was supposed to be a veteran test, even though his opponent, Sergey Liakovic, was coming off of two losses. He's been KO'd before. He was TKO'd by Shannon Briggs. Um, you can't take anything away from his opponent having that experience. And again, one punch in the heavyweight division can't change anything. And being experienced heavyweight definitely has its perks. Doesn't mean you're going to win guaranteed, but Deontay Wilder is grossly untested. So putting him in there against someone who lost to Shannon Briggs, who's a big heavyweight, who's been in there with Lennox Lewis's, fought quality opponents, whether he won or lost. Liakovic also beat Lamon Brewster, who beat Vladimir Klitschko. So if you mix and match the opponent, his resume, win or lose, versus the opponents that he's fought, like Lamon Brewster fought Klitschko and beat Klitschko, and he beat the guy that beat a Klitschko. So if you get my drift, what I'm saying is that experience is valuable. Win, lose, or draw, it's valuable experience. This is supposed to be an opponent that was going to test Deontay Wilder to a degree. Again, even though he hadn't looked exceptional in recent memories and he has been stopped before. And he really didn't. He came out dry. He wasn't sweating. No homo. And he got knocked out in the first round. It was a crazy, brutal knockout. It was very reminiscent of the Nonito Donaire knockout of Montiel. Montiel was pretty much doing the same thing. Basically, when you get knocked out, a lot of times it's like a computer. It's like having your computer on and pulling the plug out of the wall, and you just disconnect. And sometimes you react late, like defensively. Like I've seen a fight. It was a street fight. It's on YouTube. The person got knocked out, and as they're falling, they started putting. They got sucker punched actually. As they're falling, they're putting their dukes up. So it's just like a late reaction. And that's kind of what his opponent had after Deontay Wilder just clobbered him. He's like, kind of like kicking and screaming, like he looks like he's having a seizure basically, and he has like a very delayed reaction based on his nervous system from taking that damage. So he was done for. Again, it was very reminiscent to Nonito Donaire when he starched and knocked out Montiel. Montiel's legs started like he was like kicking like a kid throwing a fit at Kmart or something. It's freakish, really freakish. But as far as Deontay Wilder, he's a likable character. I mean, he's been knocking out his opponents, 29 wins with 29 KOs, and he's Olympic bronze medalist. He's big. He looks very athletic and cut. Um, Again, we don't really know where he's at. He hasn't faced the most quality opponents. And even though there's a guy with experience in front of him, the guy hadn't looked good in recent memory. So it's still pretty hard to gauge where Deontay Wilder truly is. Um, you wouldn't put your money on him over a Klitschko at this point until you see more. And that's where we are. He could be a very good contender in the heavyweight division, a division that has actually recently been getting interesting. In American boxing, the heavyweight division has usually had a lot of excitement, a lot of big names, and a lot of great fights in different eras. You had people like Muhammad Ali, of course. You had George Foreman. You had later on, obviously, Mike Tyson. You had Tommy the Hitman Hearns, or excuse me, scratch that, Tommy Morrison, who had a large fan base as well. Lennox Lewis was very popular. Evander Holyfield fought at heavyweight. There was a lot of great names and a lot of great fighters. David Tua was popular, especially for his power. A lot of great names. And the Klitschko's, obviously, you got to put the Klitschko's in. somewhere along the lines, the heavyweight division became very dormant and very stagnant. We didn't really have that much. It was basically the Klitschko's or nothing. Either it's a Klitschko and there's no one we really expect to beat him. Really, that's I mean, who Manuel Char. There, I mean, there's no one that really looked like they had what it takes to beat the Klitschko's. That's why they've looked good for so long. The division has not been stacked, but recently there's been some more names being thrown about. You have guys like Seth Mitchell, who was another fighter who was untested, an athletic fighter, a fighter who started boxing late, who came from a football background. An injury ruined his football career, but he got into boxing. He has tremendous heart. It looks like he's dedicated to his new craft, which is boxing. But as soon as he got in there with more quality opponents, he did not look as good. When he fought Chaz Witherspoon, he was hurt. He got hurt in that fight, even though he went on to stop Witherspoon. That was really through persistence and determination, and I think maybe a competitive spirit and athleticism. But he looked like he was hurt. When he fought Jonathan Banks the first time, he got stopped, and he was hurt inside of the first 2 rounds. I think he got stopped in the second round. So it's really hard to gauge, especially for heavyweights, because one punch can change everything. And until they get in there with someone who's recently looked good, be it Klitschko, be it Tony Thompson, who has back-to-back wins against David Price, Tyson Fury, David Hay winner, or something like that, we really don't know where these fighters are in the heavyweight division. Again, one punch can change anything, but it's really hard to gauge. So Deontay Wilder, he seems like he has a lot of promise. I would, based on his power, I would say I would put him even months ago before the Jonathan Banks fight with Seth Mitchell, the first one before before Seth Mitchell even lost. I would still put Deontay Wilder higher because he's taller, he's very athletic, and what he lacks in technique, I think he makes up in power. And sometimes that's all you need as a heavyweight. If you look at the heavyweight division, a lot of times the guys aren't the most athletic fighters. If you go in the lower weight divisions, you see guys like Amir Khan or Gary Russell Jr., Pacquiao, guys that throw large volume of punches and look really shredded and move a lot. You don't really see that as much in the heavyweight. So when you do get a heavyweight like Mike Tyson, who's powerful and fast, it's generally a good thing. Like, damn, this guy's powerful and fast, and he's a heavyweight. But usually you don't have to throw as many punches as like bantamweights and lower divisions and stuff like that. So as far as Deontay Wilder, it's really hard to gauge. Like I said, until he gets in there with somebody who's looked good in their past couple of fights, it is hard to gauge. He looks like he has promise, and he looks like he has some freakish power. But I've also seen him look very wild and throw like to the point where he's off balance. And a guy like a Klitschko, who's very seasoned, I think at this point will capitalize on those things. You can't make the same mistakes you make with certain people, and that's just how it is. Pacquiao, another athletic fighter. If he fights someone like David Diaz or Antonio Margarito, he can afford to make certain mistakes because Margarito's not fast enough to capitalize on it. But you can't make that same exact mistake with a fighter like Juan Manuel Marquez. It just doesn't work. It doesn't really benefit you. So for Deontay Wilder, some of the mistakes that he does make, he may pay for against the Klitschko because they're going to be full of experience. They're probably like equal in size, if not heavier. I mean, at least both of the Klitschkos are really tall. So it's not going to be like he's fighting a 6'1", 6'2" heavyweight. So I don't really know where to place Deontay Wilder. He's exciting. He has a likable personality. I just want to see him mix it up with some quality opponents off of wins to really gauge. And they're talking about making the winner of Chris Arreola versus Seth Mitchell fight Deontay Wilder, which I would love because at least if Seth Mitchell wins, that'll be 2 solid wins in a row. He beat Jonathan Banks in the rematch, and if he beats Chris Arreola, that says a lot for Seth Mitchell's determination and dedication to the sport. If Chris Arreola bounces back after his Stavern loss and looks good against Seth Mitchell, that's another person who's been in there. The Klitschko's a seasoned fighter. So I would like to see Deontay Wilder really mix it up with any of the top guys, any of the guys, Chisora, David Haye, Tyson Fury winner, Chris Arreola, Seth Mitchell winner, Klitschko. And I think ultimately it's going to take one of those types of fights to see what he has. So far, nobody's really tested his chin, but I think I just heard a gunshot outside. I don't know if you guys heard that. But yeah, no one's really tested his chin. But if you're in there with people who are off losses and don't really have the confidence, maybe they're too afraid or they're not in the physical peak of their career or the physical conditioning to bring that out of you. So I have to see a little bit more. He's definitely entertaining. He has a personality that could sell. He has the physique, and it looks like he has some crazy power. But we got to see him in against some tough quality opponents. I think, like I said, any of the people I just mentioned would be great. It's about time. It's clear to me that he can beat out of prime fighters. It's clear to me that C-level guys cannot hang with his power. Those things are clear to me. We got to see him in with some B or A students, and that'll really gauge where he's at. Right now, for what it's worth, he is entertaining, and he definitely has highlight reel type knockouts. So let me know what you guys think of Deontay Wilder. I know he sparred against David Haye. That would be an interesting matchup because David Haye is more of a smart boxer than him, and he has some power. So I'd be anxious to see how something like that would go in a non-sparring, an actual fight, especially with the height advantage Deontay Wilder has, Deontay Wilder's power, plus David Haye's boxing ability and speed and experience. I'm curious how that fight would end up should he get past Tyson Fury, which I expect that he will. Let me know who you want to see Deontay Wilder fight. That's really all I got to say. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video's Ego, signing off.